Joining us now, the ranking member of House Oversight. He's Congressman James Comer of Kentucky. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We're hearing this, that you and your fellow Republicans plan to probe Hunter Biden as a national security threat. What do you have on that?
Well, we continue to get information, and the American people continue to get information. We just heard the tape this week where Hunter Biden said his dad would do anything he asked. That's basically the sales pitch that he made to our adversaries in Russia, China, Ukraine, the Congo, everywhere where Hunter's had a shady business dealing, where he's peddled influence because his last name was Biden. He uses the sales pitch that his dad will do anything he wants. We found 3 instances where his dad has, in fact, made bad decisions, and you can only come to the conclusion that he made these decisions solely because he was compromised, because he was trying to help Hunter Biden.
What are those instances? So you're saying the president, as vice president, made 3 bad foreign policy decisions because he was compromised? What is that?
As president, first of all, when he said he was going to put sanctions on Russia, and he was going to put sanctions on all the Russian billionaire oligarchs, he left off 2 names. These 2 names just happened to be people who had paid Hunter in the past for consulting. So we have a lot of questions about that. That's one bad decision. Secondly, when we were on the trail of this artwork, when you remember Hunter was an artist for about a month, and he sold some of the highest priced art that had been sold in the United States in the last decade, we believe that art went to China. The White House counsel worked with the art gallery owner who we were investigating and we had requested information from, and laid out a plan to where that would shield the art gallery owner from having to answer to any congressional oversight. That was the second bad decision. Then the third bad decision is we've uncovered that he has 150 major bank violations in his different various banking accounts, some of which are commingled with the president of the United States' brother. And 150 bank violations. One of these bank violations called a suspicious activity report, or a SARS. Used to, Congress could request from Treasury all the people that had SARS violations in their area, in their congressional district, in their state. Joe Biden made a decision and unilaterally, without consulting Congress, changed the rules to where Congress can no longer have access to those suspicious activity reports. It's so bad, even Maxine Waters in legislation has language that would change that order back to allow Congress to have access to that information.
Let me back up. When did the president make that order to change what's going on with
all of these orders have been since he's been president of the United States in the last year and a half.
Okay, so
the SARS.
Go ahead, finish.
Well, the SARS the change in the suspicious activity report transparency, that was done early on in the administration. That was before it became public knowledge that Hunter, in fact, had 150 suspicious activity reports filed on his bank accounts. Now, Liz, these were put in place after September 11th to catch questionable foreign transactions where they were transferring money from foreign countries into accounts to fund terrorist activities. I mean, this is very serious.
Let me back up. Let me just understand. So let's just slow walk it through. So you're saying that the president had commingled bank accounts with Hunter Biden, right? We know that they were basically sharing bank accounts and covering each other's expenses, and that
his president's brother and Hunter were, and that one of Hunter's associates was writing checks on behalf of the president to Hunter. We know that.
Okay,
yes.
So you're saying these suspicious activity reports filed by U.S. banks into the U.S. Treasury saying, hey, we don't know what's going on with the money flows coming from overseas into these bank accounts. I mean, the SARS are usually to track, money laundering as well. Are you seeing the president connected in any way to those bank accounts?
Well, we know the president's brother was connected to the bank accounts, and we know that one of Hunter's associates on one of the accounts that he had some suspicious activity reports filed was writing checks back and forth with the president. Remember the email that said your dad's Delaware tax refund came in the mail. I'm going to deposit it into his account, then write a check on him to you. So there's a lot of commingling of accounts. We have a lot of questions, and I think we've already proven that there's enough issue to raise concern that this should be the focus of the oversight
committee. Could this
committee.
Be a tax issue too?
This could be a lot of issues here. We're very concerned. And, this is not a political witch hunt on Hunter Biden. We've already concluded that Hunter Biden is a shady business character. We are now concerned that Joe Biden may be compromised because of the shady business dealings that Hunter had. And remember, these business dealings are in China and Russia mainly, two countries that are giving us more problems than any countries on the globe right now.
Okay, Congressman Comer, we'll have you back on. We're going to stay on this story. Thanks for joining us.